programs in the sport ready for battle. The number 6 Syracuse Orange and the number 4 Virginia. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us with Paul Carcaterra. I'm Jay Alter, and Paul, Virginia and Syracuse. This is a rivalry that always delivers.
I mean, for my money, you think of the last 30 years, the most exciting matchup in college lacrosse. But today, the stakes are high. I think the winner of this game positions themselves really well for a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament to host a first-round game.
And in this sport, Syracuse in the home white, Virginia in the road blue and orange. We are underway in the Dome. A top 6 matchup in the ACC. And it's the Orange who dig out the opening face-off and set up shop. A Syracuse team that comes in 10-4. 3 of those 4 losses in overtime. And Paul, in the Dome, Virginia, Matthew Newton. A top 6 matchup in the ACC after just the opening quarter last Saturday against Duke.
Prior to that game, he's had an amazing season. 3-year
set up shop. A Syracuse team that
How he
comes in
starts this game is
10-4.
critical, though, because he allowed 7 goals. He had 0 saves in that first quarter.
Dispossessed. Virginia could start the clear with Nunes. Nunes 3-0 against the Orange in his career for Virginia. And Lars Tiffany made it clear. He's our starter. That's the guy we're going to ride. Cavaliers push it in transition and open the scoring. Peyton Cormier, defense to offense. You can't do it any better than that.
What they were missing last week when Nunes was pulled was his ability to start the clear. He's a great passer. And Ben Ware, 44 in blue, triggers the transition with the long ball. Then when you give it to Peyton Cormier on the backside, it's automatic.
45 goals on the season, 204 in his career, now tied with Chris Gray, top 5 for Division I career goals all time. And Virginia digs out the face-off. Syracuse still scrambling for the ball. The energy on these ground balls to start the game, something you'd expect in a Virginia-Syracuse game.
Virginia's the best team nationally in ground balls per game. Syracuse has an advantage on the face-off X. But if it becomes a 50-50 scrum, the wings are so strong from Virginia. That's what they want. The initial winning face-off clamp, Syracuse has the advantage, but when you kick it out to the wings, these guys are ball hawks, and they will possess.
Shots on the run, feeds it. That whizzes wide. McCabe Milton, freshman, having a terrific first campaign for Virginia. And here's Connor Schellenberger. Curls around to Milton. Settle down with Schutz down the right alley.
See Griffin Schutz, they're moving him around. Known to attack from up top, 26 in blue. Saw a couple of good passes from the Cavaliers early in this first quarter. Schellenberger leading the break on the Cormier goal, and I thought that pass from Schutz on a prior take when he found Millen is what Schutz needs to do in terms of evolving his game, because he's such a lethal dodger and goal scorer. Teams are going to slide to him early.
Schutz. He's got good size, trying to muscle his way in. Out to Schellenberger, bouncer wide. Virginia there with the backup, 13 seconds on the shot clock.
Like how Schutz's head is up, surveying the field, knowing that the slides are going to come early to him.
Stolen away, Carter Rice. They're going to award the ball back to Virginia. 7 seconds to work with on the shot clock. Millen has to work quickly, crossfield ball, and that's a turnover.
Matchup is McCabe Millen and Billy Dwan. Expect a heavy dose of the pick game. Virginia offensively. Schellenberger and Millen are constantly picking for each other. How Syracuse plays to pick defensively will have huge implications in this game.
Virginia very aggressive early. Their defense is dialed in to start this game, Paul.
That's where Cole Kastner broke onto the scene early in his career.
Mark got a piece of it to deny Cormier. Cormier scored from that exact spot to open the game. Mark way out of his cage. Virginia again gets the ground ball. They've been all over the 50-50s to start. Tom Alexo trying to come up with this one for Syracuse, and he's a threat to score. Dispossessed from behind.
You've seen two trail checks by Virginia defensively. One by Schroeder right there, the prior one on the ride with Kastner. These guys are 6'7", 6'6", and 6'5", their starting defense. When they press out, when a team is trying to clear, you saw Jake Stevens being harassed. They are so effective in terms of tracking players down. When you think you have room, it's the wingspan that swallows you up.
Uthroa out of the box, goes behind the cage at X to Joey Spallina. One of the best feeders in the country. To Mule. Hiltz behind the back, doesn't go.
This is an interesting matchup, too. Schroeder, 49 in blue. Spallina, 22 in white. They have a long history against each other. They played in high school so many times against each other on the national club circuit. Spallina with Team 91, Schroeder with DC Express. They would just lock horns every summer.
Top defenseman against top attacker in the class. 22 on 49 today. Around. Can't finish it. And Nunes quick off his line to win it.
What you're seeing is Virginia is double polling the midfield. They're putting a short stick on Mule. 2 in white. So he's going to have the green light to go against a shorty. Virginia is saying defensively, we fear the midfield from Syracuse more in terms of breaking down our defense. So we're double polling. We're putting our 4 long sticks on the perimeter, and we're going to short stick a guy like Cam Mule, who now has to capitalize and test that matchup.
It feels like Virginia has started this game opening 5 minutes with a point to prove defensively after they got lit up by Duke for 18 goals last week. They have been very strong to start this game. Connor Schellenberger, #1 in blue. The corner! Connor Schellenberger!
I mentioned moments ago, what will define this game defensively for Syracuse is how they play the pick game. Schellenberger gets a pick on him 9 times out of 10 when he's dodging. And he's so smooth and smart to know that he's shot ready. Once he comes out of that pick, he knows the switch or the defense trying to get through the pick is going to be late. It's time to spray if you're 1 in blue.
Few have done it better in a Virginia uniform than Connor Schellenberger. Might be the greatest who of all time.
I've said it many times. He is.
He is.
He is. He'll be the first 4-time first-team All-American in school history. He's the leading point scorer, and he did it in less games than everyone else in the top 5. He's a national championship weekend MVP. How do you argue it?
Let's look at Syracuse's way.
I'll tell you what, this is a game that would be interesting if we had a stat. Face-offs won and face-offs won that led to a possession, because the player who's winning the initial clamp, whether it's Gobriel from Virginia or Syracuse, that's not the team that's possessing. You're seeing a battle. It's 3-on-3, fighting relentlessly for these ground balls.
And you come to expect it in this rivalry game, Syracuse and Virginia, but they're battling for ground balls like there's 10 seconds left in a tie game in the 4th quarter. They're doing it from the start. Syracuse has attempted 4 shots. None have made it on goal. Michael Leo going to work. Dumps it off. Christian Muley pulls one back. An instant answer for the Orange.
This is incredible awareness by Michael Leo. Ben Ware falls. He knows then Virginia's on red alert. They have to show. So Muley's man comes upfield and leaves him on that backside. One-on-one with goalie Matthew Nunes. And when Christian Muley's one-on-one with the goalie, as Uncle Ray would say, case closed.
After Virginia went up 2-0, Christian Muley pulls one back in just 66 seconds for Syracuse. Awesome atmosphere here in the Dome, and a goal starts bringing that crowd to life in this opening quarter.
This is a big day in the Dome. Spring football. Later on tonight, the people in Central New York, this is, and spending time here as a student athlete, you went to school here, Syracuse Athletics, this is their pro team. The community rallies behind the sports here. And it's an incredible, actually, few days at Syracuse. You have Bruce Springsteen here on Thursday night.
That's the thing. Even if this crowd goes crazy, all you can say is this is the loudest the Dome has been since Thursday night. When Glory Days was going in the encore. That's the first mistake Virginia has made on offense today. They've been pretty good, and they win it back. Cormier, how good is he? Peyton Cormier blows it right past Will Mark. And Cormier and Schellenberger, the first 3 goals in this game for Virginia.
He's born to score on the left side. No one has hit the back of the net more in Virginia history than 24 in blue. Peyton Cormier. He's got his hands free. He's got the Who's cranking. Prayers with the family of both those fallen officers who died tragically way too young in the line of duty.
Midway through this first quarter, Paul Carcaterra, Jay Alter with you. And again, a face-off win that really shouldn't go down as one because the other team's going to have the ball.
If you can't possess it after the win, what good is the win, right?
Nothing.
And Jake Stevens, I think, needs to do a better job there. He's a KG veteran. He's been around for a while. Understanding the pressure.
Bouncer off the knee of Will Mark. Gets it out quickly. Both of these teams want to run in transition. That's what Syracuse and Virginia's. Stevens let him rip. No backup.
If you see the Syracuse attack on that play, I think they thought Stevens would give the rock up. There was no backup. Got to be closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds on a shot to retain possession. They're hedging that Stevens is going to be a passer there.
Syracuse just shooting 1 of 6 in this opening quarter.
What I'm seeing, oh, that's a good check by Alexo. I'm seeing they are sliding quick to this guy right here, Griffin Schutz. He's going to have to be a passer today. Watch how quick they go off of his dodge. They're going to show, and he has to pass. You see the double team? It's right there.
Good ball movement. Reading the ball well in this first quarter. That's his 3rd save. Scramble for the ball. And it's going Syracuse's way.
And Griffin Schutz can make his presence felt. Even if he's not on the score sheet as an assist, you saw it's going to be pass to a shot like that Virginia's going to have as an opportunity because of the slide to Griffin Schutz.
The Stars have showed up for Virginia to start. Cormier and Schellenberger have combined for all 3 for the Cavaliers. and Virginia saw it coming.
This is dangerous. Ware is legit.
And it goes in. Will Mark got a piece of it, but not enough. You just said it. Ben Ware is legit. He showed it off in transition, and it's 4-1 Virginia.
Virginia, air traffic control. We mentioned the big bodies. Ben Ware scoops that up, takes it himself. That is Ben Ware, coast to coast. A lot's been said about Jake Posito from Albany as a goal scorer with the long ball. I think Ben Ware is one of the top 2 or 3 long stick midfielders as a shooter in the country. He's tailor-made. He's a junior. When he comes out as a pro prospect, he's tailor-made for the PLL because he's instant offense from the defensive end. You watch this guy shoot in warm-ups. He can let it fly.
And the problem for Syracuse is if you move off Ware, who's he giving it to?
He's giving it to
Cormier,
Connor Schellenberger, who finds Cormier in the backside.
Now, what a start for Virginia, and what a response by the Cavaliers coming off that 18-12 loss to Duke. It's something that Lars Tiffany has been so good at. How do they respond after a loss? Well, Virginia is 20-0 since 2017 following a loss.
And you're seeing some of the ingredients of what's made them so successful, right? Ball hawking defense, air traffic control, transition goals. They play well in chaos.
Double team came over, dispossessed Schellenberger. Cormier trying to win it back. Finally, Figueres digs it out for Syracuse, and now the Orange can run in transition.
It's a good check by Figueres on Schellenberger. He's got the matchup.
Hilt spins his way through and scores! Owen Hiltz!
The spin and shot. Ouch. Carter Rice gets the ball. Riley Figueres with the check. The whirling dervish of Owen Hiltz. The wrists, the awareness to play off the body. The bench feels it. And Owen Hiltz pulls that like a rabbit out of a hat. You saw a combination, Jay, of understanding pressure from the defense, when to roll, and then the wrists to shoot that right out of that roll.
A long clamp here. Anthony Gobriel and Mason Cone. It's been a good face-off battle all afternoon, and Syracuse wins at Sam Alexo. And the Orange settle it down. Now this game, as it often does, has a good pace to it. Haven't had many settled possessions. Here's one for Syracuse. Can they capitalize? Trying the quick stick finish to no avail. English couldn't get it right.
That was the look. Finn Thompson found English on the backside.
That's so hard to time. I know a lot of guys make it look easy. And Syracuse steals it away once more.
This game is, you're starting to feel it's going to be played in a chaos zone. A lot of ground balls, a lot of transition. That's what this rivalry's been about, right? This is a series that's so close. They've played 41 times. Virginia's won 21. Cuse has won 20. It's always a high-scoring affair. It's two programs that love to get up and down.
Who does the chaos favor?
I think the chaos favors Virginia. I think Syracuse is more methodical in the 6-on-6 sets. Virginia loves to get it out quick with Nunes in their transition game with Ware.
Shot clock down to 30. Here's Michael Leo in attack mode. The puts on the brakes. Now double teamed. Has to get rid of it. Sends it up top to Heltz. He stings it off the pipe.
You see the wrists of Owen Heltz? Like, you think, is he going to shoot? He makes that decision in a fraction of a second because of how powerful his top hand is.
Virginia and Syracuse 10 shots apiece with the Cavaliers doubling up the orange. 4-2. Good look here. Read well by Will Mark.
That was a gorgeous pass by Peyton Cormier. You talk about him as a goal scorer all the time. He's able to find that backside. And Will Mark, I talked about in the open, he's got a little bit of a quirky style, right? Sometimes he'll squat low, but his top hand is so explosive. You see him make that save.
To goal!
What a shot by Wyatt Hoddle. This guy is shot out of a cannon. If you talk to people around the program, one of the fastest players on the team. He uses his jets here. Started the season as an offensive midi because of injuries. Had to play short stick D midi. But you get the transition when you put an offensive-minded guy as a short stick D midi. He sees the green light, he's got the speed, and he gets his first ever goal in this game with this crowd. That's a big spot for that young buck.
Wearing the number 19 that at halftime will go into the rafters. A number very important to Syracuse lacrosse. And Hoddle, the freshman, what a time to score his first goal. Cone won the faceoff. He's not shy to go right to goal.
He's so athletic, and he's a really strong offensive player, as is Johnny Mullins, too. So that's what Syracuse has this year. They were kind of missing the last season or so. Not just a face-off guy, but a guy who could give you offense off the win.
Stevens, so much speed, sends it back. Tied at 4. Back-to-back goals for Syracuse. Luke Roa buries it.
I mentioned moments ago the two-handedness of Luke Roa. Mark it down, him shooting with the right hand right here, because you can see the same torque and trajectory with the left hand. This time he plants his feet. He's got the torque, and he is not trigger shy. Luke Roa plants that one. I had a chance to meet Luke Roa's parents last week down in North Carolina when they played the Tar Heels. His dad said when Luke was young, I asked him, why is he so two-handed? He said when he was young, he played baseball. He batted both lefty, righty. He wanted him to be an ambidextrous type of athlete. Well, guess what, Pops? You did well.
Paying off on a big stage. The sophomore ties it at 4. 2 goals in 31 seconds for the Orange. About 25 seconds remaining here at the end of the first quarter. Something about this matchup, Clark. It always delivers. Syracuse and Virginia. Millen.
It's two programs that love to play fast. They've always loved to play fast. Coaching staffs that empower their players. It's got all the pieces, all the trimmings of a dandy.
Under 10 seconds left in the quarter. Virginia going to have one last chance here. Off the restart, it's Schellenberger with the ball in his stick. Floats it up top. That whizzes wide from Ben Ware, who scored a goal in this first quarter. And what a first quarter it was. Two of the premier programs in the history of the sport. And this game is delivered. We're just getting started. All tied at 4 between Syracuse and Virginia.
A much-needed win. Because resume-wise, they didn't have that big signature win. They beat Denver, but you wanted to see more than just one big win for the Blue Devils to put them in that top 4, and they got that last week.
And it's the way they beat Virginia, right? They manhandled them. 18-12 left, no doubt. And now Virginia trying to respond on the road. After a loss since 2017, Lars Tiffany of this program are 20 wins, 0 losses.
That's incredible.
Haven't lost back-to-back since 2017.
Yeah, I talk so much about his culture building, but the guy X's and O's too. He knows how to refocus his team and find ways to make some small tweaks with personnel and just things they do schematically in terms of matchups, changing things. Today we see them double polling, putting a short stick on a Syracuse offensive player.
Back to the committee for a quick second. Syracuse at number 8. If they win today, they're not going to be anywhere near 8 with 3 top 5 wins. No way. They've got the 4 losses, but by a combined 5 goals, I think it's how you lose, right?
The only game Syracuse wasn't in control of
was Notre Dame.
They were in control of the Army loss. They were in control of the Maryland loss in the fourth quarter.
They certainly
were. Yeah, I mean, they were up 7-0 against Cornell. So Notre Dame was a game I thought from start to finish, the Irish dictated the tempo in that game.
Michael Leo, perfectly placed, and the sophomore fires Syracuse in front.
You know what's interesting, Jay? A lot of times as a sweeping midfielder, I've always told young guys, never stop your feet, shoot on the run. Well, Michael Leo knows he has so much time coming off that initial pick, and he's got no pressure, that planting his feet will allow him to really get something behind that shot. Get the torque, get the motion, and hit that bottom corner.
And Matthew Nunes, 0 saves. Remember, he was pulled a week ago against Duke. He made 0 saves, let in 7 goals. Now he's let in 5.
The crazy thing is, you look at that statistically and you say, what are they doing? Why do they have Nunes in there? How many of these goals were poor shots? None of them. And it's the same case a week ago against Duke. There weren't bad goals, but he just wasn't making that big save that the team needed. So Lars Tiffany made the switch last week to Kyle Morris. Will he do it again? I worry about the psyche of a goaltender, though. When you get pulled, how are you going to respond?
Now, Nunes has not made a save since they played North Carolina all the way back on April 6th. Think about that. It's been weeks since he's made a save in a game.
You know, prior to last week, he was playing his best lacrosse. He was 6th in the nation in save percentage.
He scored the game-winning goal against Harvard.
This is a 2-week massive slump for him.
Can he break out of it? On the road, in the Dome, in an awesome atmosphere with Syracuse having all the momentum right now. Crease violation. That would have been a SportsCenter top 10 if it went. Here's the thing about Syracuse. They've got a lot of young players making plays, too. That's Roa again. A lot of sophomores that have really stepped up from their freshman years.
That's the foundation of this team, the sophomore class. Spallina, who runs the offense, Figueres and Dwan are your cover guys down low defensively, and then the middle of the field with Luke Roa and Michael Leo and Finn Thompson, all sophomores.
The future's bright for Gary Gay in this program, but they want the present to be bright as well.
It's a great double team by the defense. Sam Alexo plays strong fundamental defense, and then the timed double team. And I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. Griffin Schutz's passing is going to be critical because Syracuse is sliding to him so quickly. And it doesn't necessarily, Jay, have to happen statistically as an assist. It could be just the initiator of the offense, where that first slide and passes is coming from. That's where Schutz has to be at his best.
Syracuse again! Make it 5 in a row for the Orange. Syracuse right now.
You got to play in the gray. You got to play in the chaos. Maybe the smartest player on the Syracuse team is Owen Hiltz. His head is always up. I just look at the IQ of Hiltz and Spallina as passers, finding Christian Moulet in that spot. A lot like Cormier. When you play chaotic lacrosse and you live in the gray in a game in a series like this, you're going to get attackmen porched out on the backside, ready to shoot and score. Because there's so many scrums in the middle of the field, Jay.
Much needed face-off win for Virginia. Cormier can't cash in. Will Mark got in front of it. And now Syracuse pushes the other way. This chaotic pace continues. Virginia has not scored since the 5:09 mark in the first quarter. Since then, Syracuse has scored 5 in a row to grab control of this top 6 matchup.
That was a big stop by Will Mark. We've seen Peyton Cormier now on his goals, and then on that shot, he's shooting low. And I think Mark understands that.
Hiltz on the run, buries another. A flamethrower out of the stick of Owen Hiltz. And it's 6 straight goals for the Orange.
The placement of this shot starts because of a Will Mark goal. The way that he's goaltending today and the way he's occupying the goal is allowing his offense to go after a goalie on the other end who is not making stops. Syracuse isn't helping the cause with Matthew Nunes with the placement on these rips. Look at Owen Hiltz here. Owen Hiltz is not a dodger typically in a 6-on-6 set, but when you give him the ball in transition, he can make you pay.
Lars Tiffany, timeout. Syracuse has scored 6 in a row. We'll be right back in the Dome.
Looked one way. When they left, it looked another. And they're the first real celebrities, I think, in the sport, like to the point where they were 4 or 5 years removed from playing at Syracuse when I was a freshman. And if I saw them, like I was almost like starstruck. And you know me, I'm not lost for words with anyone. But to be around the gates in their presence, but then when you get to know them, how humble they are and how kind and gentle souls they are. They're amazing people, forward-thinking players, forward-thinking members of the sport of lacrosse, always pushing the game in a positive direction.
And you wore the number 19. Was that because of Paul Gate?
Yes, I loved the number 1 when I was in high school and youth lacrosse, and when I had a chance to come to Syracuse, they weren't giving me 22. So 19 was open. I'm like, how could I not want Paul Gate's number?
One of the best to ever do it. You said he's the second best midfielder to ever play the sport.
The toughest thing for Paul was he played with the best lacrosse player ever, the best midfielder ever. It happened to be his twin.
Virginia needed that. Griffin Schutz delivers. That ends the 6-0 Syracuse run. And the Cavaliers, coming out of the Lars Tiffany timeout, go to their junior midfielder, Griffin Schutz.
Yeah, he's the guy. He can beat you and run through you with brute force at 6'3", 225. No arm pads, just an old school grinder. I mean, just runs through this check, too. And Sam Alexo's a lefty, so he has to play cross form. He's against the grain, and for him to hold a guy like Schutz, who's 6'3", 220, I mean, that is an impossible task. The difference in that goal and the prior possessions for Schutz, Syracuse didn't slide quicker. They slid so quick in that first quarter to support the matchups. This time they didn't. He's going to be a goal scorer.
You have to make him make a decision. Didn't that time, and Schutz makes the Orange pay.
The big development here, though, is does Lars Tiffany stick with Matthew Nunes? He's still sitting on 0 saves. He had 0 saves when he was pulled last week against Duke, 7 goals allowed. I'm not seeing Kyle Morris, the backup who relieved Nunes a week ago, taking any shots right now in terms of being warmed up on the sideline. So Lars Tiffany is sticking with Nunes.
He's allowed 14 straight goals since his last save. Behind the back, trying to be kept alive by Stevens, and Virginia comes away with it. Wins it right back.
What a check by Birtwistle.
Jackson Birtwistle. That's the type of game it's been. Neither team has ever given up on a possession. Constantly trying to win that ball back. Hiltz, not a great angle, almost made it happen.
See the physicality and the hard checks by Schroeder. 49 in blue against Spallina.
Spallina's been, for his standards, relatively quiet in this first half. And we get our first flag, and it goes against Virginia. So it'll be Syracuse on the man up here.
This is a good call. This is Cole Kastner he's hooking Stevens. That's a pretty easy call.
Yep.
Syracuse, 18th in the nation in extra man. 42%. Last year, they had the most goals in the country in extra man. With most of the unit back, and 42% is good. I think people were expecting them to even perform at a higher level this year with all the cast of characters back from a unit that was incredible a year ago.
Hiltz lets it rip.
And if you're Syracuse, Jay, do you keep peppering Nunes? Do you force him to make that first save? He's had 14 goals allowed since his last save. So do you keep pressing and getting to the mind of Nunes?
I would. Syracuse, 22 man-up goals behind the back to the doorstep. Michael Leo, the finish. Picture-perfect passing, and Michael Leo, an easy finish. And Nunes is now allowed 8 goals without a save.
We saw a ton of this a year ago, right? The skip pass to a BTB to an easy finish. There's some deception. The through pass is backbreaking on an extra man. When you can make that pass, the backside is going to have the best scoring opportunity possible.
You got your 2G minis, coach?
Here's the deal. Kyle Morris relieved Nunes a week ago, but you lost some of your transition. And Morris played okay. He didn't play great. So I think in the back of Lars Tiffany's mind is, if I put Morris in, do I lose my goalie? Like the psychological approach.
For the season.
Possibly.
You got Notre Dame next week. It won't get
Kyle
easier.
Morris had 3 quarters. In his defense, he didn't get the real start in the real warm-up. But he didn't stand on his head last week. You know, if you had Kyle Morris in relief a week ago and he played amazing, I think he'd be in this game already.
And 23 man-up goals now for Syracuse, leads all Division I. Another long scrum for the face-off. Foul called against the Orange, so it goes Virginia's way. Second line midfield runs on for Virginia. Will Corey, Patrick McIntosh.
I think you got to get back to your bread and butter. Bring a pick for Schellenberger. And he's got options coming out of the pick if they slide as a passer or a dodger.
It was Schellenberger and Cormier who had the first 3 goals for Virginia. They've been quiet since. Cavaliers led by 3. Cormier couldn't get the hands free.
That was excellent short stick defense by Sam English on McCabe Millen.
Schellenberger always picks the perfect pass. Millen, the cutter. And Virginia pulls back a big goal there to cut it to 2.
This is exactly what the pick game does for you. Because Schellenberger comes out of the pick. Look at all the white shirts. The eyes are on him to support him. And slide. But he knows he can be hesitant and be a passer. because he dodged through the pick, and Syracuse needed to support it. Who was sliding? There was a little disarray there, and that's where he feasts. So even when he's not scoring off the pick, he's becoming a passer because everyone on that defense, Jay, is so concerned with supporting the matchup and sliding.
Cone wins it cleanly, and a save made by Matthew Nunes, his first in 2 weeks. Great pass, Schellenberger. Cormier! That's a hat trick for Peyton Cormier. And Schellenberger, back-to-back beautiful assists.
When we were talking about the ability of Matthew Nunes and what he brings to the offense, this is an easy save right to his stick. But what he does is he triggers transition. He's such a good passing goalie that it allows the Cavaliers to play in space, to play with tempo, to play fast and furious. And that's what you have with Matthew Nunes. And when he makes that stop, your offense just clicks at a different level. When he's not making the stops, you don't see the transition. What about the placement, too, by Cormier? We've seen a lot of low shots by Cormier, but that time on a right-handed goalie to hit the near pipe. And that's not good. Schellenberger's on the bench right now. You see them, looks like they're working on his upper body somewhere.
So Schellenberger with 2 assists in 19 seconds. The catalyst for Virginia, and the Cavaliers back within 1. John Mullen, the freshman, into the game, wins his first faceoff. And we'll try and keep you posted on Schellenberger because Virginia's going to need him if they're going to win this game.
He's the ultimate quarterback. Passes with precision, never forces things.
Hiltz and Nunes, another save. So after Matthew Nunes allows 15 goals without a save, 7 last week to Duke and 8 against Syracuse today, he gets back-to-back saves, so that confidence starting to come back.
And that first stop that he made on Spallina was a fairly easy one. Mm-hmm. But it was monumental because it gave him his confidence again. 2 saves in 24 seconds. He went 2 weeks without one.
And it can happen that quickly for a goalie, right, Paul?
Absolutely.
And Connor Schellenberger, number 1 in blue, runs back on. That's good news for Virginia. Has the ball here.
So you won't see a pick here because he has the short stick. This will be a quick slide by Syracuse.
Schellenberger tried to do it himself that time. Denied by Mark. Dwan in the corner. And now Mark will start the clear for the Orange. Both teams have had success in transition. Hiltz dumps it off. The patience pays off. Matt Wright buries it on the doorstep. And the Orange back up by 2.
Owen Hiltz has been tremendous in the early offense. The patience. He thought he was going to shoot at first, but then he hitches and gets to the top side across the middle of the defense to become a passer to a long pole. And Matt Wright, it's his first goal of the season, the Canadian product who played a bunch of box lacrosse in the summertime with a shorty. Comes in handy when he's shooting on a 6x6.
And that's a split-second decision by Hiltz, who's been feeling pretty good. He could have let that fly.
His IQ is his next level. Sees through a defense and just understands when to push, when not to. And he's not a pulled-out type dodger, but...
Schellenberger on the run! You can't do it any better than that. An instant answer from the future 4-time first-team All-American.
And he was a first-team All-American his freshman year as a midfielder. And it pays dividends late in his career, sweeping across The top of the Syracuse defense on the run. That is a midi dodge through and through. And he's so versatile. The response in 13 seconds. But what I love about Kevin Cassis in the offense that he employs with the Cavaliers is moving Schellenberger around, because you know about his versatility. He could beat you up top. You've seen him feeding from behind, dodging from behind, spraying it up top. He's the ultimate offensive weapon.
And now the first ever Virginia Cavalier with 300 career points.
And I mentioned earlier, he broke the record in less games than everyone else in the top 5. Everyone thinks, oh, the COVID year. He was redshirting that year. He did not play one game in 2020. So those are real points, the points per game record, the overall points of Virginia. He owns it all.
He shattered it all. And he has dragged Virginia back into this game. Syracuse had all the momentum. Schellenberger, 2 assists and a goal during this comeback.
And that's not a typical turnover by Joey Spallina.
Cavaliers an opportunity to tie this game at 9. Schellenberger, he's filling it! Connor Schellenberger ties it at 9. A hat trick in this first half to go along with 2 assists.
He's putting on a show. Do you remember the last shot? It was upper corner. This time he shoots the same release point low on Will Mark. He's strutting, and he should be. You talk about the awareness as a shooter to hitting different spots from the same release point, playing mind games with a goalie. That's what Schellenberger has done on Will Mark. This is a crazy game.
It always is between these two. A rivalry that delivers.
18 goals with 4 minutes left. We're going to need oxygen.
I asked Virginia head coach Lars Tiffany, is this the best rivalry in the sport? He goes, it's certainly the most exciting.
It is. A lot of people think Maryland Hopkins because of how long it existed. You know, Syracuse, Virginia didn't start playing again in the regular season until 1995, so there's a big hiatus. But since then, you can't tell me there's a more exciting rivalry in the game. And we've seen 22-21 games between these two.
Now we are getting another instant classic today. Hiltz. The patience again. Nunes got it with his foot. 3 saves in this second
That's
quarter.
what he does off a save, though.
Got it out
This
quickly.
is dangerous.
Where a threat. Passes off. Cormier. Usually money from there.
And what I think Lars Tiffany understood was you have to be patient with Matthew Nunes, because when he makes a save, what are you seeing after the save? It's a quick pass. He understands if he wants tempo, if he wants his team to play from end to end and force Syracuse in a track meet, Matthew Nunes is a goalie that can trigger all of that.
Virginia scored 4 of the last 5 goals. Connor Schellenberger's been a part of all of them. 2 goals, 2 assists. Mark off his line, in trouble. Got it away. A big hit from Schellenberger. Wins the ball back for Virginia. He's doing it all.
That is not a good decision by Syracuse. You never throw the ball to the middle of the field when you're playing defense under pressure, let alone throw it behind the back.
Mark got a piece of it to keep the game tied.
If you're in that spot that Nick Kakema was in, you cheap it to the other side. If you feel the pressure, you cheap it. Because now Virginia possesses the ball in a critical spot before halftime from a momentum standpoint. No, you got to play flawless through the pick game for starters, because he's so smart. He rejects picks, he uses picks, he feeds off picks, he dodges off picks. So it all comes down to how is Syracuse going to play the pick game against Schellenberger in the second half, and that will dictate it. Here comes one right now. See right there, he doesn't even run through the pick. He rejects it. He keeps everyone at bay, guessing.
And on the other side, Syracuse's quarterback, Joey Spallina, who's been terrific this year with 76 points. No points today, just 1 shot. Been very quiet.
And I think on that side, he needs to operate with more picks behind as well.
Rung off the pipe, inches away from a Virginia lead. Syracuse has numbers. And a timeout taken by Gary Gay.
Virginia wins this game, and they beat Duke next week. They're in the ACC tournament, which takes 4, and Duke's sitting out.
Think about that. So,
yeah, think about that. The number 2 team in the country
wouldn't be in the ACC tournament. That's how competitive this league is.
And there's no AQ. So depending on who you talk to, is the tournament, is the juice worth the squeeze on the tournament? I think it's a dicey time to have the ACC tournament right before the NCAAs. If you're nicked up, and you know how physical this league is. You know, the Big Ten's playing their tournament a week before the ACC. Gives your guys a little rest. I mean, Lars Tiffany and his 2 national championship runs in 2019, 2021, they had 2 weeks off.
They were off.
Yep. They were rested before the NCAA tournament. That's not going to be the case this year.
Now, for Syracuse, they'll get next week off before the ACC tournament. This is their final game of the regular season. Virginia's got to go play Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, this is a gauntlet for Virginia to finish the season. At Duke, at Syracuse, and then home to Notre Dame.
Battle tested.
Seconds left in the half. Virginia looking for the lead. There's a good look from the redshirt freshman Ryan Colsey, son of Syracuse legend Roy Colsey.
He owned a steakhouse.
Yeah, Scotch and Sirloin.
Yes, locally.
Amazing. So he owns a steakhouse, but his son Lars is a well-known vegetarian. Well, the restaurant, the first ever salad bar in the continental U.S.
Wow.
There's a tidbit for you.
I can't tell you how big of a fan of a salad bar I am. Like, I could actually pick what I want in my salad.
Under 20 seconds left of the first half. Lars Tiffany's Virginia team looking for the lead. 7 seconds left. Schallenberger tried to feed Colsey, couldn't connect cleanly, and Syracuse gets a defensive stand to finish the first half tied at 9.
The players are going to make the plays in this game, and that's the beautiful thing. They're going to have to use their instincts, their awareness, and their ability to press in transition. I think the transition play of both teams and the pick game. We haven't seen Syracuse give the ball to Joey Spallina behind the cage. Hardly at all, right? He's your offensive conductor, one of the best passers in America. I think he needs to get more involved.
0 points in that first half for Spallina. Only took 2 shots. Give and go. Colsey. That whizzes wide from Cormier, who had a first half hat trick. The 2 teams that will begin their postseason push with this game. Bullseye to the back of the net. How about the freshman McCabe Millen fires Virginia in front to start this third quarter.
It's a big-time play by the freshman Millen, and if you're Syracuse, you need to crowd him defensively. He's too fast from a straight-line speed perspective. You got to crowd him. What I mean by that, Jay, is get into the body of Millen. Make him operate in a phone booth, almost like the opposite of how you would defend Peyton Cormier, right? You want Peyton Cormier to run out and play in space. You don't want McCabe Millen playing in space because he'll beat you with speed. So it's interesting. They're running Millen right now as a midfielder. Jack Boyden, the Tufts transfer, who is a wizard with his stick, is now playing attack on the bottom right-hand side. So Millen coming out of the box, you saw it right out of the gates. He used his speed with like one of those Schellenberger up top dodges that makes you think that midfield might be an option for him as well. He's going to come through the box right here. He's going to operate up top. With that speed, that is a big-time adjustment in this game.
Gets the flip here. Halftime adjustment made by Lars Tiffany. It's already paying dividends. Virginia, 1-goal lead thanks to the freshman Millen. Starts his run again in attack mode. This time went with the bouncer, rings off the pipe.
They're going to have to get up in his body. You cannot let him run at you like that in space.
Here's Spallina. Sends it up top. Remember, Matthew Nunes led in 8 straight for Syracuse without a save. He's made 3, and Syracuse has only scored 1. So he's starting to get comfortable in cage again. Here's Sam English. He's been quiet out of the midfield for the Orange. Trying to muscle free off to Michael Leo now. Bouncer saved by Nudes.
You saw the top hand speed, right? He made that save off his hip. It's one of his better stops today.
Well, he now has 4 of them. And Syracuse has only scored 1 goal since he made his first save. Will Mark on the other side has 8 saves for Syracuse in goal. Schellenberger on the run. Takes the perfect pass again. Everything but the finish. Mark swatted it off the line. And here comes the Orange.
You remember I said the wizardry of Jack Boyden? Like, how did he even get that shot off? That was like a hesitation twister. Catch, pause, twister. The fact that he got that on cage just shows you the hands of 28 in blue.
Here's Luke Roa. He had a very strong first half for Syracuse. Hiltz, lefty! Owen Hiltz stings the corner to tie it at 10. Wow.
High heat. Some top cheese. Look at the wrists. I mean, that is all wrists. You can't teach someone how to shoot like that, Jay, because you need the wrists to do it. And Owen Hiltz in the first half, we saw with the same snappy wrists, a 3-quarter release. That one was underhand, hardly any angle, and he hammers that top corner. This guy, I'm telling you, his wrists are some of the best you will see.
He's been a part of Syracuse's last 5 goals. 3 goals, 2 assists. And we are all tied at 10 in a game that seemingly is going to come back to the last minute. John Mullen, clean face-off win.
He's lucky the ball actually continued past the cage for the backup. It's been the Owen Hiltz, Connor Schellenberger afternoon.
Leo shakes free. Battle for the ball. Going to stay Syracuse's way.
That was a ridiculous hustle, though, by Chase Yeager, 23 in blue. Sold out. Look at the body, too. Look how physical Schroeder is. I mean, that is physical defense.
Just rips it away from Spallina. But he's got the size advantage. He has dominated that one-on-one matchup today.
Well, I told you there was history there. They played against each other a lot on the club circuit in high school.
Kept alive by Syracuse and now settled down. So would you go away from Spallina? Clearly, it's just not his day today.
I would first try a little bit of pick game at X with Schroeder, because Schroeder's very aggressive, and an aggressive defender sometimes overcompensates and will fight and overextend through a pick. So at least I would try that part of the matchup too, because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen Spallina getting a pick at X.
Syracuse back in front. These two teams trading punches in a heavyweight fight. Finn Thompson puts the Orange up 11-10.
We talk a lot about picks and how it offers an opportunity for the ball carrier. This one offers an opportunity for the actual pick man. It's Finn Thompson. He picks and he slips. He is so good at that. If you watch him on tape, right, he almost looks like he's going to pick, and then at the last second, he exits the pick and he rolls out. So everyone's fighting to stay with Sam English. Well, guess what? There's a Houdini in there called Finn Thompson who's playing a little trickeration there and slips. He looks tired, Sam English. They use him and Jake Stevens a lot on wings, and they get caught on defense.
And there is a lot of lacrosse left in this game. Can't be tired now. 9:33 to go in the third quarter. A rivalry that seemingly always delivers an explosive, exciting matchup is writing another one. Back-to-back goals. Jake Stevens buries it. Two goals in 13 seconds for Syracuse.
This is what Mason Cohn can do for you. Plays the whistle. Stevens, I mentioned, with English play a lot of reps. But when you have a wing guy that you can keep on for instant offense, he's not racing to get off the field, Jay. He's staying on the field for offense. And we've talked a lot about Hiltz as a goal scorer, the awareness as a passer. From 77 in white, Owen Hiltz. That's Gabriel, the face-off man. That's a concerning visual. It's Colucci, 81. So they have a two-headed monster with Gabriel and Colucci, a lot like Syracuse does. And the beauty of that is, depending on style, who do you use? It's the left leg. Ooh, yeah. You saw something with the left leg possibly give out a little bit. You hope he's okay. You know, he's had to play a lot of lacrosse because Gabriel's been nicked up himself this year. So Colucci has played a ton of reps. He's becoming an experienced face-off guy for Lars Tiffany. Now you're down to one. You just have Gabriel for the moment at least.
And you're right. He came into today not 100%.
No.
He's battling through it like a lot of face-off guys are this time of the year.
I mean, the taxing rigors of that position.
32. Hold. 30 seconds. Please reset to 80.
And Gabriel gets the penalty as well. But that's a position, Jay. There's two positions, I think, that have changed in lacrosse in terms of the depth you need. One is face-offs and one is short stick D-middies. Back in the day, you needed one face-off guy, right? You could ride that player forever. And you needed 2 to 3 short stick D-middies. Now you need 2 face-off guys. You need 5 short stick D-middies. 5. Because in the shot clock era, these guys are racing all up and down the field, and they get gassed.
And Virginia's depleted in both categories.
Yes.
And now we get a look at the best man-up unit in the country. 23 man-up goals on the year for the Orange. They are 1 for 1 today. Not a great angle there, but in perfect position. A scoop and score for Finn Thompson. Right place, right time, and he finds the back of the net.
What do Canadians do in box lacrosse? They crash the boards. It's rebounds left and right. They just know how to play a rebound a lot better than an American-born player because of the second chances. Wow, that went off of Stevens' body. I thought originally Nunes made the stop. Ouch.
Did you give Stevens the assist?
He's got something to show for it.
Wow. Yeah, bruise. Syracuse, 3 straight goals in this third quarter. 2 of them belong to Finn Thompson. John Mullen, the freshman, has come in and been terrific at the face-off X.
Well, that's what the two-headed monster gives you, right? You have Mason Cone, you have Johnny Mullins. Now you're playing against just one face-off guy for the time being. With Thomas Colucci out, it's all Gabriel. And now you can mix and match depending on giving him different looks and prohibiting him from getting into a flow against one player.
Syracuse up 16-10 at the face-off X today. Nunes, nice save. And now Virginia can run in transition. They've been great turning defense into offense today. Stolen from behind, Jake Stevens all over that one. And now it's the Orange who will run. Matt Wright, already a goal today, passes off, give and go, and Wright wasn't ready for it. Back and forth we go.
This guy can go to the rack, and they'll keep him on, too.
Picture perfect. McCabe Millen strikes, and Virginia turns chaos into a goal.
They like to play fast. They're risk takers. The ball movement is epic. Cormier, Schellenberger, freshman Millen, top shelf. Don't go anywhere.
High-powered offense against high-powered offense. You know, the way Lars Tiffany and Gary Gait coach, they empower their team with so much freedom on the offensive end, and we have seen that. Both teams taking full advantage. This has been so much fun to watch. Syracuse, they've won 5 straight face-offs here, leading by 2.
And part of the telling story behind the 5 straight at the face-off X is Virginia's down to 1 player now. Thomas Colucci's been out. We haven't seen him since he was injured. Anthony Gabriel is the lone member of that face-off unit who's taken a draw today, and Syracuse has 2.
Nunes coming alive after he didn't make a save. Syracuse scored 8 straight to start this game. Now he has 7, all coming in the second and third quarter, keeping Virginia within striking distance.
Credit Lars Tiffany for sticking with him, because last week he was pulled after the first quarter against Duke with 0 saves, 7 goals against. He went 14 straight goals without a save over the last 2 weeks, and he kept with them.
Behind the back, Will Mark, great stop, got a piece of it.
There's the BTV by Jack Boyden. You see a backyard element out of 28 in blue. I mean, if you watch his highlights from when he was at Tufts, he did some of the most ridiculous stick fakes, goals, deceptive passes.
D3 National Player of the Year for Tufts, and he's fit in with his Virginia program, proven he can do it at a high level. Schellenberger, he's been incredible to watch today.
They played that pick game well. They gave Figueres 11 White a lot of room to get through.
Schellenberger, 3 goals, 3 assists. You have to keep an eye on 1 in blue at all times. Has it here.
You think?
Will Mark, another great stop. That's 11 for Syracuse's goalie today. Battle for the ball. Everybody's all out.
That is a hustle by Matt Wright, 51 in white. Virginia, it appeared like they were closer to the sideline, but you got to be closer to the ball. That's the right play, closer to the ball when it goes out of bounds on a shot. The refs got that right.
The ground balls have been equally exciting as the goals today. Everybody leaving it all on the line in a critical ACC clash.
I don't want this one to end.
Syracuse clinging to a 2-goal lead. The narrative has been that Syracuse in the close games hasn't been able to finish.
A 2-goal lead is not safe in this contest, ever. Like, it's laughable how close that is. Like, you can't breathe with a 2-goal lead when you have these offenses that are this relentless with this kind of star power.
Nunes got in front of it again. 8 saves for Nunes. He's off his line, battling for the ball, pushing and shoving, and a flag flies.
I think when Spallina went for that ground ball, he was hacked, bodied. Something happened in that mess. Watch 22 in white on the replay. He had nowhere to breathe. Contact to the head, so they can change the length of this penalty based on the review.
And this is a new rule this year that the officials can go over to the monitor and take a look.
Get it right. So Spallina gets the ball here. And who are they going to call it on it? There's 3 jerseys there. Oh, the late one. It was the late hit. The last hit, I think, was the one with Griffin Kaloji. Watch 29. Watch 29 in blue. Follow 29 in blue. I think him coming in late here.
That one, where the shoulders lowered.
And then he comes in again. Watch here. Watch this. I think it was on this one, too. We'll see.
Okay. All right, let us talk about it for a second.
I think it was the first one. I think the whistle had blown.
Yeah, the whistle blew after that lowering of the shoulder right into the head of Spallina. Let's get the call.
It fouls on 29 blue, 1 minute. Contact to the head, locked in.
It's locked in. I'm glad they didn't bump it to 2 minutes. 2 minutes would have been egregious.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was egregious. I think the 1 minute is fine. There's the rule right there in terms of head and neck contact. Indirect, direct, excessive. So you can do 1 minute, 2 minute. Excessive to the level of a possible ejection. I think they got that right. It's a 1 minute direct to the head. I did not think it was excessive, which warrants 2 minutes.
And Syracuse turns it over to the best man-up unit in the country, Nunes.
There's a lucky fan.
Yeah, sends the ball flying into the dome stands. 6 saves this quarter.
He's responded. He had 3 in the first half.
All in the second quarter.
0 in the first quarter. Yeah, he's responded.
He is keeping Virginia within striking distance.
Looks like they're playing Spallina up top more as a passer, giving him some time to set his feet.
No points for Spallina so far this afternoon. Here's Heltz. Deflection. And now Nunes sends it out quickly. Ben Ware, already a goal today. But Virginia decided to slow things down, kill the Syracuse man up, get back to even strength.
Ben Ware is logging some minutes. You know where you can spot him too? With the all-white cleats. I saw him pregame. I was chatting with him for a while.
Those are sharp.
Yeah, he likes to be a little different with his footwear. Walked over to Dick's this morning and picked up a pair.
Virginia kills the man up, goes down the field, and makes it a 1-goal game. What a momentum swing in the third quarter.
That's Joey Terenzi. Played a lot of short stick defensive midfield and then had an injury where he's out for a couple weeks. But as a high school midfielder, he scored a ton of goals. So he's a two-way guy that's going to have to log some minutes at a midfield that needs some juice outside of Griffin Schutz. But now you put McCabe Millen coming out of the box, Terenzi scoring, and guess who's back? Thomas Colucci's back. 81 in blue. I thought he was done for the day.
A warrior going against Mason Cone. The wing, Matt Wright, wins it for Syracuse. They have dominated the face-off X today, but they are clinging to a one-goal lead. Leo sends it back. Finn Thompson got a good look but couldn't finish it.
This is the Matthew Nunes we're accustomed to seeing. A player with confidence, stepping to the ball, quick top hand speed.
He goes from the worst form of his career to playing at his best in the same game.
Spallina's upset with himself that he didn't handle that on a Finn Thompson pass right in front of the cage. Spallina has really soft hands. Normally he gobbles passes up like that.
He has been off his game today, probably for the first time ever in a Syracuse uniform. He's been terrific all through his freshman year. Now in his sophomore year, he's never had a game with 0 points, and he's stuck with a goose egg 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Shots. Didn't get it off cleanly. 2 minutes remaining in this third quarter in a game that you do not want to miss the finish of. This is going to be a war in the fourth quarter. Shots trying to muscle his way in. Big body, 6'3", 220, sends it back up to Boyden. 15 seconds to work with. Boyden on the move. Passes off Cormier. Mark in front of it. Will Mark's been sensational. 12 saves today.
They get the restart, though. The second chance grounders.
Schellenberger. What a pass. Will Mark again.
Mark with a couple amazing stops. This Syracuse defense needs to clear the ball. A little gassed.
How could you not be?
Yeah, that relentless approach by the Cavaliers.
1 minute remaining in this third quarter. In a game that's already seen 25 goals.
You would think with the shot clock longer than the game clock, I'll hold for the last shot, but this is Syracuse, Virginia. I'm not guaranteeing you anything.
Ulay, 2 goals to his name today. Shakes free. Nunes again. He is reading it really well.
He has. He has responded. Wow. When he was down and out, buckled his chin strap, didn't second guess himself. Credit Lars Tiffany. I've said it once, I'll say it twice. Stuck with his goaltender who's had moments where you think he's an absolute star this season.
Had allowed 15 straight goals without a save. 7 last week to Duke, 8 today to Syracuse. Now he's made 11 saves to finish this third quarter. What a game we had. Syracuse and Virginia, a rivalry that always delivers. And we've got a fun fourth quarter coming, including an interview with Paul Gate, the legendary Syracuse lacrosse player, 3-time national champion, 3-time All-American. He'll be joined by Paul Carcaterra when we come back.
No other schools knew about us. Even though we had won every championship in Canada from the age of 12 to 18, nobody knew about us because we were from the West Coast, and West Coast teams weren't known to be good teams.
Yep.
So that was it. He called us and said, without seeing us, said, would you guys like to come to Syracuse to play lacrosse? And we were like, what? Okay. You know, because we had aspirations of playing at Syracuse or at a school like Syracuse or playing rugby or basketball in Canada. And when he called from the U.S., everybody wants to be American.
Well, guess what? As a result, when no one was recruiting Canadians, now every college coach in the country is. And Virginia just got a goal from a Canadian named Peyton Cormier. And the style, the Canadian flair, and the way that you handle your sticks. Where was that in terms of the foundation? Where did you and Gary find that way of playing? Because it was different.
We cannot take the credit. I have to be honest. We learned to play by emulating the players that were out senior men when we were kids. Like you said, when you were in middle school, you watched us. When we were in middle school, we watched guys like Ron McNeil and Jack Bionda, and those guys were truly innovators in the Canadian game. And they're the ones that threw the behind the backs and stuff. Gary and I just evolved it and adapted it to the field lacrosse game.
Yeah, you took it to a completely different level, and the game has changed. The rules have changed because of your forward thinking as a player. And when you watch the current Syracuse team with your best friend and your brother and your twin running the show, what comes to mind?
Well, I just hope that they get what he's trying to teach them. You know, Gary and I spent a lot of time outside of practice. You know, we took what the coaches let us have, freedom, and we ran with it. And we would not go home after practice like a lot of guys. We'd go in Manly Fieldhouse, beautiful goal. We'd go to Manly Fieldhouse and work on stuff that we learned as kids and tried to adapt it to the field game.
Yep.
Outside of practice, outside of the team. I can remember that if the team were to happen to go down to M Street, they'd all get buses home.
Yep.
And Gary and I would run home.
That's amazing.
In the middle of winter.
It was the work ethic. It helps to be conditioned when you play fast like that, and I know your brother loves when it goes from one end to another. You've been a trailblazer in this sport forever as a player, but also pushing the game forward as someone who is in the manufacturing sector of the game. Where do you want to have your presence felt with lacrosse moving forward?
Moving forward, obviously, I want it to be felt on the manufacturing side. Gary and I have worked for competing companies for most of my career. I've been manufacturing lacrosse equipment since '94. And he worked for STX for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I always worked for someone else and competed against them. And let me tell you, it was great competition, and it resulted in great evolution, especially in the women's sport. But once we got together, we knew we could do the same thing we did at Syracuse. We knew that if we put our heads together, bounce the ideas off of each other, that we could be greater as two than individuals. And that's what I want to have happen with our company now. Him and I are on board, and we've evolved the game, and we're still trying to evolve the game through the equipment, and obviously him through the game itself.
When you're alone, you could argue you're the best player ever. Together, it's not even a question. And I'll say it again, what you've done for the game of lacrosse and the way that you changed and inspired so many people in the late 80s. I don't know if you realize what you did for people like me, for my friends and everyone who was playing the game of lacrosse. You and Gary were Michael Jordan ×2 for us, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and much appreciated. I mean, we worked for it, and we tried hard, and I'm glad it all worked out, and you guys feel that way.
Thank you, Paul. Jay, take it away.
All right, thanks, Cart.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Paul. A really special moment there, and this is a day that belongs to Paul Gate. That number 19 will hang in the dome forever where it belongs. And, you know, for those that don't know, and if you're dialed into the lacrosse community, you obviously do. In the last couple of years, a lot of focus has been placed on the fact that Paul was paralyzed after a 20-foot fall in the Gate Lacrosse warehouse on November 3rd, 2022. Haven't seen a lot of him publicly since then, and he looks great. And what a special day this has been for Paul Gate and the Gate family. And the fact that his brother Gary is now leading the program that they helped really put on the map must mean so much to the Gate family. And Paul, that was really special as you've rejoined us in the booth in a really close game. Virginia with the ball, trailing by 1. Special day, special conversation with that man who changed the sport.
Can't thank him enough for what he did, what Gary did, pushing the sport. inspiring those generations from the Powells. Then it ended up being the Thompsons, now the Kavanaughs and players like that. It's just amazing.
Schellenberger, a perfect pass again. You can't do it any better. Will Corey, the finish. Schellenberger's 5th assist, and they've all been beauties. That one ties it at 14.
You can't give him this kind of time. He's got the shorty again in Wyatt Hoddle, the freshman. And once again, what happens when they use the pick game and they get the switch? Syracuse and Bill Dwan has to go to support it, but you leave your man behind right in front of the cage on Will Mark. Connor Schellenberger. You see the skill set, but what's just as fascinating is when you watch him on tape, how many incredible, smart lacrosse decisions he makes. And he's almost like a step ahead, Jay. He realizes that, okay, I have a shorty on me. I don't have to score. I'm going to make the defense think I'm going, so they have to slide. So I almost think he uses the short stick sometimes as a decoy to set up his passes.
All tied at 14, 11 minutes remaining in regulation. What is going to separate these two teams down the stretch here? Shaking free, Ryan Colsey fires Virginia in front. Son of Syracuse legend Roy Colsey, going against Dad's alma mater, delivers a beautiful individual effort.
Ryan is a high school attackman with a lot of box lacrosse background for an American. Sells the defense on the fake and then gets underneath. No slide. He cashes in. That's a monster goal by the redshirt freshman. And his dad, Roy, a high school teammate of mine, a college teammate of mine, was a 3-time first-team All-American, had the body like Griffin Schutz, and a shot like Owen Hiltz. I mean, you talk about the ultimate competitor, man. If you took the ball away from him in practice, he was hunting you down. He took everything personal, everything.
Where do you put him in the pantheon of Syracuse?
It's Gary and Paul are the best of all time at the midfield position, not even just in Syracuse respect, but globally. Roy Colsey is a top 5 midfielder ever at Syracuse, but there's a flag down.
Well, Gobriel took a big hit. Schellenberger scored the goal and put it in the back of the net.
The whistle and the timing of the whistle is interesting here.
Because Gobriel took the hit. I think the officials threw the flag. Will the goal stand is the question.
I think they blew a whistle prior to Schellenberger scoring. The timing of this game is moving so fast.
Yep. If Schellenberger's goal stands, it's 2 goals in 6 seconds for Virginia, but did the whistle blow before Schellenberger released it?
Look at it. You know, when we contact to the head, we're going to review it. 35.
So it's contact to the head.
Now, Gary Gates said to the officiating crew, it's not even close. Is that in reference to...
I think he's talking about the Billy Dwan hit. So Gobriel comes down, wins the faceoff. Watch 35, slides. That's to the head. Now, the way that the game is being played and how fast it's happening, is it, that's not to the head if Gobriel doesn't slip, though.
Right.
Like, he's falling down prior to the hit. If he's standing up here, there's no malicious intent here. This is not to the head. You see how low he is, and then Gobriel slips here. He slips actually before the contact. Like a fraction of a second before the contact. This is going to be interesting. The goal stands, and they're calling it a 2 minute, so there's an egregious element to this hit. I'm good with 1 minute, not with 2 here.
After review, we got 35 white, 2 minutes, contact to the head, opt in.
This is a monster moment in this game. It's 2 minutes unreleasable. The goal stands. So he scored before the whistle. Billy Dwan III is doing time for 2 minutes, unreleasable. I would have been okay with the 1 minute. Did you think that was egregious?
No, I think he's slipping.
I do too. There was contact to the head. I'm okay with 1 minute. I'm okay with 1 minute. I did not think that was egregious.
And the thing I guess they can't look at there is the time of was the whistle blown before the Schellenberger goal. So the goal's going to stand. So 2-goal lead for Virginia, plus they're unreleasable, up a man for 2 minutes here. Big momentum shift in this fourth quarter.
You're looking at a Virginia unit cashing in prior to today at 50%. And they get the ground ball here. Number 5 in the nation in the extra man offense.
Hiltz aggressive on the ride, down a man.
You think about face-offs, and Syracuse at one time won 5 or 6 in a row. Not all face-offs are created equal. This would have been the time for Syracuse, who has the advantage, to win what might have been the biggest face-off of the day. Because if you win that face-off, you could exhaust some of this time. Now you're dealing with this unit.
Syracuse defensive coordinator John O'Derna, only coach in the country that does this. His man down unit, 5 totally different players. So the close defensemen run off, and this is the unit called the Junkyard Dogs. All they focus on all week is killing man-up penalties. Can they do it for 2 minutes here?
They're good at it, Jay, but there's layers to this. They don't clear as well as the starters. And if the penalty's over, they don't match up as well as the starters. But the concept, I love it. The buy-in of the week, making this their identity. I get it.
Virginia cashes in. And it's Colsey again. 2 big goals in this fourth quarter for Ryan Colsey.
The Junkyard Dogs left the lot open. And the finisher here is Colsey. Crisp passing. Jack Boyden behind the cage. The righty passer, the lefty finisher. Look at the placement on that shot on a righty goalie and Will Mark. Ryan Colsey knows. That is go time. I mentioned earlier the prior face-off maybe being the most important of the game. Well, guess what? This one's equally as important, because if Virginia wins, they still have plenty of time on the extra man with 41 seconds left.
It's the freshman John Mullen for Syracuse.
Oh, they got a hold. They got a hold.
Face-off.
Hold on Gabriel there.
So the Orange will look to kill this man up another 33 seconds. Virginia has taken control of this game. The Cavaliers have scored 7 of the last 8 goals, and they lead by 3.
It looked like the game was getting away from them.
Yep.
That's the beauty of this series. It's the beauty of a coach in Lars Tiffany that lets your players make plays. A mistake or 2 in the third quarter. And Matthew Nunes, sticking with him has been maybe the biggest story of the day.
Hiltz tees up Thompson, got a good look, couldn't bury it. Back to even strength. 23 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Spallina been quiet today. Off to Thompson, curls around, snuffed out by Nunes. Stays with Syracuse. English couldn't control it.
Gary Gate wanted the timeout there.
Yeah, Gary Gate was trying to get a timeout.
I think he got it. He got it.
For a very long time, the shot clock did not reset. It finally does. Gary Gate gets his timeout. Syracuse trailing by 3. This is going to be a fun finish. The final 8 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Schellenberger behind. Good things happen. Will Corey says thank you. Ryan Colsey gets underneath the defense. Schellenberger again. Ryan Colsey, not once, but twice in this quarter. And as crazy as it sounds, Syracuse has scored 1 goal in 16 minutes. In a game where, like, in goals by the bunches, and you couldn't catch your breath. UVA now is 5 of their last 6 shooting.
And for Syracuse, the Orange, only 1 goal in the last 16 minutes. Sam English in attack mode. Can't shake free. Has to pass it off. Stevens. Exactly what Syracuse needed. Stevens delivers out of the Gary Gate timeout to cut it to 2.
The timeout was a must. The wheels were slowly falling off the bus. Michael Leo attracts some attention. Stevens on the short stick. The slide's too late. You know what I love about this move, Jay? He gets underneath a lot like Colsey did in a prior Virginia goal, but then he uses his shoulder to fight upfield to keep his angle. A lot of times, offensive players would be pushed towards the end line. He did not. You saw the strength and the awareness to keep that angle by Jake Stevens.
This will go Virginia's way. Face-off violation called against Mason Cone. Cavaliers a 2-goal lead.
And this is a problem for Syracuse. The advantage overall in the game, the face-offs, but not the critical ones here in the second half. The best thing that could happen for your offense is to feed them again off a goal. And now Virginia takes the ball and gets some momentum.
Lars Tiffany isn't exactly a coach who'll sit on the ball to protect the lead, though. They're usually aggressive to the final whistle.
But it allows you to find your matchups, and you don't have to be overly creative here. Get Connor Schellenberger the ball. He's not going to make a careless mistake.
No.
And if you use a pick, you could get a shorty on Schellenberger, and then he's just dealing late in a shot clock scenario.
A whistle blows play dead. It's going to be Syracuse ball.
I'll tell you what, there was some interference there. Jack Boyden has showed some passing, too. We know about him as a goal scorer and how smooth he is from a creative perspective. 28 in blue, who's played some attack today, he can feed the rock. Like that was an elite pass to Ryan Colsey.
Final 6 minutes coming here in the Dome. It's been an awesome atmosphere, and the game has delivered. Virginia clinging to a 2-goal lead. Hiltz. What a save by Nunes. But he spilled it. It stays with Syracuse. Nunes scurries back to his cage. And Hiltz with some high heat over the top.
10th in the second half by the embattled Matthew Nunes. Like, if you don't have respect for this kid and what he's had to deal with in the last week. First quarter of Duke a week ago.
Gary Gate, his team trailing by 2 with the ball. Syracuse has been excellent out of timeouts today. Trying to cut this lead in half with under 5:30 to play in regulation. Sam English goes to work. Passes off, perfectly placed. Finn Thompson buries it in the bottom corner. And it's a 1-goal game.
I got a new name for this young man. It's not Finn Thompson, it's Slip Thompson. He just slips picks like it's his job. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. You see him up and down, bopping up and down, and he knows he's going to set a pick, but he's going to slip it more importantly. And the timing of the slip is what makes it rain. He knows. He knows we've got an incredible fourth quarter. Like, this is why you play in this rivalry, right? This game is incredible.
Thompson, 3 goals, and they've all come in the second half. The latest one makes it a 1-goal game. Back to the faceoff X. Syracuse goes with a freshman Mullen. Going against Anthony Gobriel. Ball still loose. And Syracuse has it with Spallina.
Spallina was so smart there to just get the ball and get rid of it, because that was a traffic jam in there.
Under 5 minutes to go. Buckle up, a fun finish coming between two of the top programs in the sport. A rivalry that always delivers, and it has delivered a beauty today. Thompson, he has the hot stick.
He's so dangerous in the pick game. Just watch him. Like, the decoys and the deception. We talk about deception on shots a lot. His deception in the pick game's crazy.
Spallina, no points to his name today.
If someone told you Syracuse was going to score 16 goals and Spallina would have 0 points, what would your reaction be?
Impossible.
Well, it's possible.
76 points on the season, but 0 today for the sophomore that wears 22. He's never had a game in a Syracuse uniform where he's been held to 0 points. Here's Michael Leo in attack mode.
Do a good job, Virginia, flushing Leo to his right hand.
Shot clock down to 3. Syracuse in trouble, one-handed. Noon's got a piece of it. Cole Kastner trying to clear, lost the ball.
That's massive.
Syracuse is
and it's a restart because Kastner possessed the ball. That is a huge moment in this game. Syracuse shot with English with 1 second left on the shot clock. Kastner possesses the ball and then loses it. You got a fresh shot clock.
Stevens backpedals, loses his footing, lost the ball. Virginia has it. Kastner comes up with a crucial ground ball. And a little more than 3 minutes remaining in this game. Virginia trying to hold on to this 1-goal lead.
Kastner's a game wrecker at 6'7", how long he is. You saw him in trouble moments ago when he lost the ball on the end line. He comes up with that counter ground ball.
We've seen 100 shots in this game. It's produced a 17-16 lead for Virginia. An awesome atmosphere, and the game has delivered. Schellenberger, 4 goals, 5 assists to his name today. 9 points, 1 shy of a career high. Schellenberger looks at the shot clock, sees he has 18 seconds left, goes to work, curls around, passes off. Virginia has the backup.
I mean, that's the look you want.
Yep.
The all-time leading goal scorer in program history staring down Will Mark.
Schellenberger stolen away. Syracuse's defense delivers. Under 2 minutes to go. The Orange with an opportunity to tie it. Spinning free. What a save by Nunes. Ball's loose. It's back to the net to tie it at 17. It's a scoop and score. Billy Dwan, the close defenseman. A miraculous goal to tie it at 17.
This is amazing lacrosse end to end. The turnover late in the shot clock, Sam Alexo as the Syracuse bench explodes that you sit, you watch, and your jaw drops. And between the legs against Cornell, a twister against North Carolina, and then a shovel BTB against your rival, the University of Virginia.
On a day where Syracuse is honoring Paul Gate, the Orange down the stretch playing like Paul and Gary did.
What do we got here?
Yeah, the officials are going over to the monitor. I have no idea what the official review could possibly be about.
When we take another look at this, Dwan clearly isn't in the crease. Are any of his teammates in the crease? Are any of his teammates in the crease? It's hard to see Alexo's foot there from that angle. He clearly isn't. Watch 48. I think he's the closest one to it. No, that's too close to tell.
I think he stayed out.
From that angle, it would be hard to overturn. What a stop by Matthew Nunes.
I know.
Incredible. That left foot, but from our angle, that's going to be really hard to overturn. The other look, coming from the end zone area, we get a better look at Sam Alexo's left foot.
After review, we got a good goal.
That's the right call. There's not enough to overturn that, Jay. Why does this game have to end? Convince me why this game has to end. Why?
Because we got to get it to Maryland Hopkins after us.
That's Quint Kesnick's problem. And Don Zimmerman and Drew Carter. Let them figure it out. This game has been absolutely ridiculous.
Tied at 17, back to the face-off X.
And Syracuse was dominant in flashes in the first three quarters. In the fourth quarter, the face-offs, Virginia 6, Syracuse 3.
A spectacular goal by the close defenseman Billy Dwan has tied it at 17. Gobriel tried to get it off the face-off. Virginia didn't have the backup. It's Syracuse ball.
It's the cat and mouse. It's the cat and mouse, and you have to figure it out if you're an attackman. Is he going to give it up to Connor Schellenberger or Peyton Cormier or McCabe Millen, or is he taking it himself? He had the lane. You can't judge him for shooting, but no backup. Mark closer to the ball when it went out of bounds. Cuse now. They'll hold deep into this game clock.
Well, all season it's been the cardiac Cuse. 3 of their 4 losses have come in overtime. Can they finish this one in regulation? Under a minute to go. English gets free and scores! Sam English fires the Orange in front.
Grad transfer from Princeton. They brought him in for moments like this. He catches it in the instincts to plant a foot and get to the middle of the field and completely change your angle. You see 3 shirts that couldn't handle that plant foot. He catches it, he drops his foot to the turf, and it's go time. Staring at a beautiful angle, and the bench knows it.
When that goal went in, 4-0 run for the Orange over the last 6:42. Virginia has gone scoreless down the stretch. Can the Cavaliers find a goal here in the final 40 seconds? Lars Tiffany takes a timeout. Virginia has not lost back-to-back lacrosse games since 2017. 20-0 during that span. 37 seconds to avoid the back-to-back loss here. Schellenberger, with 30 seconds left in regulation, goes to work. Feeds Millen, dispossessed. Billy Dwan, who scored the goal to tie it at 17, Syracuse needed